Hello, fellow YouTubers. J-Bo here with a really fascinating, beautiful firearm made by old Henry. It's a beautiful wood grain in this one. This is a Singleshot 4570 government model with a scope on it, of which I know nothing about because this is my brother's firearm, who graciously let me use it for the video. And this is a H015B-4570 single shot firearm. This is the infamous Henry firearm that had the defective trigger assembly mechanisms where the firearm would discharge on its own by itself, and that actually happened to my brother, who thankfully had it pointed in a safe direction, which is what you're supposed to do. And the firearm discharged by itself, fired a live round. So that's why Henry had a recall on these, as I'm leaving moisture on here, because it is cold. But anyway, it's going to get full of fingerprints while I do this, so I might as well just do it. And there were some problems with this. As far as it shooting, everything was fine. Accuracy is very good. Quality is very good. And Henry customer service is very good. And but in this case, they did not do a good job. What they did was they took this back and fixed it, but there was a huge, long wait to get this back. And it took them forever to send a shipping box. Once they got it, it didn't take them that long, I didn't think, to repair it and ship it back. But getting the shipping box took forever and a week. I'm talking weeks, okay? And that was not good. And I think they sold a lot of these single shot models. And they had to do recalls on these and replace the trigger group to a safe one. And so that's what they did. And like I said, this is a beautiful piece of wood. I mean, look at that walnut. That is gorgeous. And let me tell you, this gun shoots fantastic. And an oversized tomato sauce can, like a 1 gallon can. And my brother shot this, and my God, it was the coolest looking explosive thing I have ever seen. The can shot up 20-30 feet up in the air. It just vaporized all the sauce. And as you can expect, this has a really good kick. And so we got some schmutz on here I got to clean. And the last time we used this, it was a hot, muggy day. So that's probably just something on here. I'll wipe that off real quick. There we go. So anyway, he put a rubber butt pad on here to save the shoulder because it's a brutal kick. And it's a single shot, and he put the hammer extension on here so you can have a scope on here and still operate the hammer, which also allows you to depress it without firing it. And this lever is ambidextrous either way, but you basically swing it to the side and you can crack it open to put a round in, right in here. And pretty straightforward and easy. And like I said, it works both ways, that way or this way. So everything is smooth action, smooth working. And now, what happened to it? Well, I just had to take a few minutes with a copper penny. And this is a cool trick if you have a firearm with damaged bluing, which I'll get into why the bluing on here is damaged. But if you have a copper penny, you can rub that on the rust spots and it will take the rust off. Now, when I took this out of the gun bag, we kind of, this gun stays in kind of like a valley where the fog at night settles. So there was a lot of orange rust on here that I just took off. So if my brother's watching this, I took the rust off here for you. It doesn't take much effort, but you just rub with a copper penny. Mix Up 98 is the one actually I learned that from online. He swears by it. Use a copper penny and it will take the rust right off your rifle without damaging anything. Works very well. This was all big orange crusty, physically crusty, you could feel it. And the bluing on here was damaged, as you can see. I'll try to capture it so you can see it good enough. And what happened is part of the packaging that they wrapped the rifle in after they did the repair and sent it back, some of the tape that they had used had come off. The glue and adhesive they used for the safety tape actually got on here and damaged the bluing. So it had a caustic reaction to the bluing on here. And I actually touched this up with a bluing pen. It was right down to the bare metal. So they ruined the bluing on here, and my brother Jim was not happy about it. And he said in the future, if this needs any servicing, he's not going to bother using Henry. He'd rather pay a gunsmith to do it, so he knows nothing's going to happen to it. So that's what he said, and that's what he'll do. Now, for this, I'm going to try to get this to film it, but I highly doubt I'm going to be able to. But maybe I can get lucky here. Let me get a flashlight. And actually, let's see if I can put the flash on. There we go. Let's try that. Oh, there we go. Perfect. Now, if you can see in here, you will see a dot that has been pinned in to the trigger guard. You see that indentation at the end of my finger? On the back of the trigger guard. If you can see that. That's how you know that this was serviced by Henry and has a safe trigger group that's not going to fire by accident. Now, the original trigger group on here probably was an 11-pound pull. It was really terrible. Now with this new group, it's somewhere between 5 pounds and 6 pounds, probably closer to 5. It's got a nicer trigger pull now. And so if you buy one of these used or even new in a store, right at the very tip of my finger where you see it moving, they pin the end in here with a something that makes a dimple, a hole, and you can see that dent in the trigger guard. That little punch right there tells you that this has been serviced at the factory with a new trigger group, and it's safe. It's not going to fire by itself. So they recalled single-shot shotguns. I believe it was the 410, 12 gauge, single-shot, 30-30s, 45-70s, a whole bunch of these they recalled for that safety reason. And, this did fire on my brother by itself. It did, while him and I were at the range. And fortunately, because we know what we're doing and we have good trigger discipline and range discipline, the firearm was discharged safely, even though it fired on its own, downrange into the sand and hurt nothing and nobody. But let me tell you, that'll wake your hind end up when that happens. So it's a fantastic firearm. And Henry, well, I own a Henry Big Boy brass in 357, needed a firing pin. They shipped a firing pin out to me within 2 days, and I got it within 4 days. First class mail. And they took care of me very quickly. But I think the sheer number of these that they had to service just took forever. And it took them a long time to fix this. And then when it came back, it had that bluing damage. The firearm itself is perfect. So I guess you can't complain about that. But, you know, that's one of those things where now do you contact Henry and say, you know, I want this firearm replaced. I mean, look what you did. But then you get this nice, beautiful piece of wood, and are you going to get that on another one? You know, would they just replace the barrel for you? Would they replace the whole firearm? I'd be willing to bet they would replace the whole firearm. They probably would. But I don't think you're going to get as good a piece of wood, and you might get one that isn't as accurate, maybe. You know, this gun's perfect. It shoots fine. So anyway, he was not happy with that, and it's the kind of thing that can happen when you buy firearms. But Henry really, really should have known better than to use something that had an adhesive in it that ruined the bluing on here. It was a hot, hot summer day when this came in the mail. Probably was sitting in the UPS truck cooking at 120, 130 degrees, and it melted that glue, and it got on the barrel, and it just caused the damage. So Henry, at the very least, should get a phone call from my brother Jim telling him what happened, because they would ask him, well, do you want to return it? Then he can decide if he wants to. I wouldn't. This firearm is too good. And but you know, I just spent a few minutes taking bright orange rust off here now because that's exposed. And you know, that's the only things that are really dangerous for firearms is rust and Democrats. So anyway, that's another video by Jabo on my channel. I hope you enjoy it. And I want to take a second to show you the size of these rounds of ammo if you're not familiar. I was floored by this. I mean, look at the size of these mothers. And they're always between 50 and 60 bucks for a box. I think he got these for $42.99. They're expensive. It's an expensive rifle to shoot for sure. And but 4570, 300 grain soft point. And let me tell you, when these hit, I mean, it just decimated what you were shooting at. It was incredible. So well worth the money and well worth the fun. But, you know, again, it's one of those things where they just kind of screwed the pooch on this one with that. And they shouldn't have been using something that causes damaging to bluing. And that's just really the story with that. So anyway, I hope you found this video useful, especially how to tell if it's been serviced by Henry or not with that punch mark on the back of the trigger guard behind the trigger. It's easy to tell. So hope that helps. Hope you enjoyed this, and thank my brother Jim once again for letting me use this for the video. And it's a great firearm. I like Henry firearms, and I don't think my brother Jim's very impressed with them at this point. And I don't blame him. So anyway, that's it. Enjoy. Thank you for watching.